30 to 40 years.
فمستحيل يكون في
So it's
أي مجالات
impossible
للتفاهم أو
for
للحوار
any
واحد
room
عنده
for
برضه
dialogue
عمرين
between us when he's double or triple my age.
عندنا يا إما بيكون عمره هيك ممكن يكون بدرس ابتدائي
And he might be even teaching people who are in preliminary, elementary school students. Or they might bring in fresh graduates who are teaching high school students, so they are 3 years apart. So now we got so frustrated to the point that we want to teach the teachers life skills. Because many times we would go to the Ministry of Education, we would tell them, but they would take it personal. As for the school environment, our moments of happiness were when they would lock the school doors and then they wouldn't find the key, so they would have to give us the classes outside. These were the best days. So I don't know what they would lose if they were to give us a class outside, in a garden, in the street, in the farm, anywhere, in the parking lot. As for the curricula, I'm very sorry and sad about the curricula. I am studying sports and I want to go teach sports. Those who draft the curricula for us is the dean. The first time I learned that we have a curriculum was this year, but it was not a single teacher uses it or follows it or applies it. The curriculum is set so that the professor finishes his working hours at 3. They decide on a few topics and then they go home. So they never dedicate time to read or decide. I don't know what they do. They just draft them very quickly and then they go back. And then in the finals last semester, I got an A+ on the test. We had the test 4 days before the test because he's repeated the same questions for the past 4 years and it's the same course. 2 days before the test, he learned that we had the test and he came to us and he said, I know you have the test questions. But then he came on the day of the test and told us, be careful, I'm going to use different forms. But we all got high grades. Not full marks because a couple of the questions were answered wrong, but we had memorized that. We didn't even realize that. It's just that we want to finish university with a certificate, and I know that I'm not going to work according to my certificate. I know I need a certificate just because society will never look at me without a certificate. And then I'll start from zero. I know that.
Looks like we have another 15 minutes, you said? Excellent. So we get another round of questions. Kimber. Say again? Okay. Rima feels like you wanted the message to... You want to end on that? All right, so why don't we get a round of questions?
Okay, so we've heard a lot about education. I think we've got that covered. Thank you very much. This is a forum on investing in. Sorry, I've got a bit of a problem. Okay. So this is a forum on investing in young children. So I'm really interested, again, going back to this idea of you all as sensors in your environment. And I found it very interesting that one of your top issues was on child protection. So what do you see in your environment? What are some of the complaints that came up about child protection, particularly for young children, say birth to age 8, or pregnant mothers? What have you seen in your environment through GEAL 962 that have come up that you feel that you can address as youth, and how have you gone about doing that?
Sorry, I'm going to have to go back to education.
Just ask and then we'll... Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to go back to education question and ask you all, كم واحد فيكم مستعد يكون معلم أو معلمة؟
How many of you are willing to
أو
be
بالجامعة أو
teachers,
بالمدرسة.
university
أعطونا
or
بس هيك
school,
علمولي.
just raise your hands. Who of you is planning to become a teacher? Just the one.
شو بدناكم تفوتوا ثلاثة؟ شو بدناكم
Three.
تفوتوا على
Okay,
سلك
so
التعليم؟
why
هل
wouldn't you
أنتم
choose to go
مفكرين
into
تفوتوا على سلك
education?
التعليم؟ شو الأشياء اللي بتفكروا
Or if you are,
بتأثر على
what are the things that you
المعلم
think
بوضع
impacted
الحالي؟
teachers in the current situation?
Thank you.
Thank you very, very, very much. I'm sure there's one difference you've noted in the room, that we have a clear age divide right here on one side of the room and the other. Kaveh joins you. And I bring that up to bring to you a big gap that exists right now. We as a group have gathered together because of the importance of the first few years of life. It's in the first few years of life that we have this enormous window of opportunity when we get the right experiences to become anything we want to because of the potential of the human. But what is happening about this message is the people who are primarily delivering it are those of us with gray hair and those of us who don't have the eloquence, the passion that you have shown here. So, I have an appeal for you. Think about being the champions for the youngest children of the world. That championship seat is vacant. That championship seat has not been taken on. That championship seat is waiting for your voice, your passion, your ability to make change. So I have an appeal and a request to you to consider this, to speak up on behalf of those babies who through their smiles and cries and laughter are actually saying something to you. Pick that up, make it your own message, because if you do it, you will bring lasting change to the world.
Thank you. Dr. Hassan, back.
يعطيكم العافية شباب. سؤالي يعني سمعت
A job well done, everyone. My question,
عن التربية هلا شو
I've heard about what you're saying about education now. How do you see the path of education from when you start from kindergarten to this day? What is the relationship?
فبهمني كثير
I'm really interested in understanding how you see this path, or from your experience, what can we add to this path that we're talking about from the time you started in kindergarten up until now at university level?
So maybe we'll take the last question and then.
Thank you. In order to learn, because I know education is very important to all of you, you have to be healthy, physically, emotionally, mental well-being. Are the young people raising the issue of their health, and are their health needs being met in the present situation? Thank you.
Last question.
Well, thank you so much. I think we all learned so much from you, and we're very grateful for your coming and for your dedication. And I would echo Pia's recommendation that you be advocates for very young children. What I would ask you also, as someone who is triple your age, is to have an intergenerational dialogue, as we have had an intercultural dialogue. Because I think there's a lot of issues that the youth and the elderly could come together around on behalf of children. So I would love to hear your ideas about that. Thank you.
Thank you. So you guys can choose whichever question you want to answer. I would suggest each of you answer maybe one of the questions and let other people speak. So start with you.
Sorry, but what's your name?
Yeah.
أنا أتحدث العربية.
So I'm going to be speaking in Arabic.
بالنسبة لمناصرة الأطفال.
Regarding support to children,
نقطة مناصرة الأطفال راح تكون صعبة جدا.
for the time being, advocating for young children is going to be very difficult because we are completely lost. We're living in a vacuum. So perhaps we need to raise awareness among the young and the old because the young children spend most of their time with their families, with their family members. So these ideas, if we can perhaps raise awareness among the elders to support or advocate for the young children, then perhaps that would be a success because the majority of the upbringing and the values that the children acquire is from the home. So regardless of the number of external projects, the children are really, it will be difficult to reach them. So perhaps we need to work through the parents and the elders who spend most of their time with the children. That's how you can affect change. Thank you.
تحكي عن السؤال عن موضوع ليش ما بتصيروا معلمين.
I wanted to respond to the person who asked, why don't you become teachers? I want to become a teacher. But the situation here in Jordan, in particular, is so that if you work as a teacher, then you can't work that full time because the financial reward won't be enough for you. So you're going to get low wages. So you need to get a second job. So that's why you don't really focus on what you're doing.
ويعني انا بجوز بعرف حالات شخصيه من الناس بيشتغل.
So I know people who work as a teacher in the public sector, and then after their working hours they go do something else because they have responsibilities, needs that need to be met.
Sometimes give private lessons also after school. Tutoring after school, they give private lessons in order just to get overpaid over their salary.
There was a question about child protection. Somebody wants to respond to that?
Can we have motion to reply, to rehear the question?
The child protection question? That was the first question. Did you want?
Ms. Pia?
No, Kimber.
Oh, child protection. Honestly, I'll refer this. I'm sorry. I'll try to combine. Hello. I'll try to combine two questions and at one answer. Yeah. So if we all look at all of those issues that we have, we can look for the root of all of those problems. As you mentioned earlier, it's how you raise your kids. So which brings us to a point. Are you qualified or are you capable of raising your kids a proper way? I'm not talking about moral or about manners, about giving them the chance to explore themselves. This thing needs to be solved. As we have, it's been almost a year since we were part of an event where we were gathered with expertise of law, of religion, of child protection. We were at Zaha Children Cultural Center last year. It was an event under the patronage of Queen Rani as well. So we wanted to make sure that everyone who gets every couple who gets married gets a training on parenting. A quick story of parenting with related to me. I was influenced by someone who dedicated her master's degree to study parenting, whose name is Munawat. She was a TEDx speaker who she had two valid points for me which influenced me to look at this topic. She said, it's all about perspective. Your perspective depends on your background and your experiences that you've been through, which allowed you to look at this topic at this certain angle. And the other thing she said, there was an incident that happened. Her daughter came to her and said, Mom, why don't we argue about something? They started a debate, and at the end, the girl came up with a sentence. She said, Mom, why do you always have to win me? That point I realized, why do parents always pretend that they know everything about everything? So the moment you be honest to yourself and share that you do not know the answer with your kid, he'll respect you more, and this will motivate him here to look for the answer, which is the spark of initiation of research and the thing that we want to change in education instead of having it spoon feeding. I'm trying to connect all the points together because it's all connected. It's all about how you raise your kids. So are we allowed, are we capable with this time of with this era that we barely find some time for ourselves? So it's time to dedicate some time to enhance our abilities and capabilities to become a better people. Regarding the child protection, answering this question, if you can avoid, you can protect children by providing, this goes to government as well, because if you have all your needs covered, then you'll be able to find time for yourself to raise awareness and teach your kids about many topics that its aspects will be the spark of change in their lives. So thank you.
بس أحكي عن الطفل.
Yep, the floor is yours.
بحكي عن حماية الطفل في نقطة
I want to talk about child protection from exploitation, maybe child labor. So child labor or taking advantage of them. At this point, for me, I feel strongly about it. If children have no income, so their parents don't give them income, or they're oppressed, or they're orphans, then they're forced to do something. So we need to provide for the children for perhaps a fixed income, or instead of that, give them education, food, so you protect them from all of this. So I imagine at this point you can cover all forms of protection, how you protect children.
بس تعقيبا عليهم على السريع
To comment, we want to look at Parliament. Under that, there's a group that works on various groups in society. Regarding education, we also want to work on areas of disabilities, persons with disabilities in public and private schools and universities, so that they're outfitted for them, and that so that there is integration. Regarding child protection, sometimes the mother and father work 7 or 8 hours a day, so they don't really see their children for over maybe 3 hours a day, but these are not sufficient for building a relationship with your child, especially in the early years. Children will be with other family members, maybe, so they build their relationship or their character according to the person who raised them, not the person who brought them into this world necessarily. So the violence that the children regarding the abuse against children, let's look at maybe things that the children use every day. Public transport, the children use them. I don't want to say something that's inappropriate, but children leave these buses without really a lot of dignity. They don't consider children like adults that you need to respect. They look at the children as if somebody brought an extra bag with an adult. So, because the buses are not really organized. Anybody can buy a bus and use it as public transport. There's no regulation of this process. There's no protection for child dignity in school. Children may be subjected to a lot of bad words in school. They may be reprimanded by the parents in public without taking into account any consideration for the fact that this child is going to use the language that he acquires from the parents. بقيت دقيقة واحدة. It's easy, simple, and perhaps it was repeated 1,000 times, and you've heard it a lot. Keep us with you.